Yo, what's up guys? So we're here to talk about Dragon Maids and are they good and what's the best build for them. So I've seen a lot of people play Gaurd dragons with them and I think it probably is one of the best builds, and we'll talk a little bit more about extension combos and as well as the whole archetype. But anyways, so this is this first play over here is going to be like I win, you can't Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's what most good decks will do, is they will lock you out of playing the game. We're looking at 5 negations plus a follow-up play with Nazri to get an additional play later down the line. So it's a pretty good setup. It's pretty consistent to throw a Polosa plus have the hot red dragon Archfiend again. This is 4 negates, this is 5. So at that point, again, your partner is probably not going to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Or it forces them to go to the battle phase, which is, I'll show you guys gameplay of that in a second. But I just wanted to explain, this is what you would try to make turn 1, and it's consistent to do these two. Very, very consistent. But to follow up with another Dragon Maid, it doesn't really matter which one it is, because during the battle phase, you're going to special summon one of the bigger ones. And what this really allows you to do is go for a extension game, or I should say a grind game, basically. A lot of these decks, it will throw out like a first turn Apollosa and like maybe one other card that can negate anything. A lot of times you deal with that board, there is no follow-up play. They basically just have to say GG. It happens a lot, I would say, with the pendulum boards that would open up with like 5, 6 negates, use super poly. They don't have very much follow-up, sometimes, depending on, of course, the builds. But for the most part, you can use Apollosa, maybe use 2 to 3 negates. You usually don't get all 4 negates. They'll just go to the battle phase and attack over this. The problem that they have sometimes is they won't have the ability to get rid of hot red dragon Archfiend. So then from here you can attack, then you go for Ib, and then basically you win anyways. But the thing is they have to deal with this, which is usually not the easiest, and then they have to deal with this, and then there's a follow-up play with Nazri where you're going to be able to bring back a bigger Dragon Maid. And then you're going to go ahead and go back into Nazri and then go for another Dragon Maid. So basically it allows you to do a little bit more with the deck. So now that I've started what you want to try to do turn 1, let's go ahead and watch like an OTK real easy against an opponent perhaps that doesn't have a board, or if you happen to have Super Poly or Dark Hole, because I don't think Dark Hole is that bad. A lot of times, again, most decks will just try to make a Polosa turn 1, and if you can like Dark Hole the Polosa after they use a lot of their resources, you could be good to go. Or it doesn't matter if it's hot red dragon Archfiend. That card is a really easy super poly. Get rid of that. But again, or even evenly matched can be a card where, you know, they just deal with your board. But anyways, let's go and watch just a simple little OTK that the deck can do, because I think the deck is quite good at OTKing. I mean, Hospitality just gives you a free special summon of the Dragon Maid. It could proc their effects, although Nazri already used the effect. I'm just trying to show you guys you can really easily OTK. And then you have a follow-up of Ib, because, well, it happens to be a tuner, and the Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss can actually bring that back whenever it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, which is quite great. And in addition to that, you can also bring back the Resonator, and that can actually help you against a burn deck. Not that I've seen too many burn variants, after of course Mystic Mind got hit. Now I want to showcase off more of a grind game against a Salamangreat deck that is using Sea Archiver, which is, I think is a great card. A lot of people are trying it out, and a lot of just Link decks, it's just a free special summon, and it happens to be a Cybers. Is really what it comes down to. It's just that if monsters are no more special to a Link zone, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your graveyard or hand. So great, quick little play here. Now I wanted to mention this because this is something that I've seen in a lot of other builds, but I don't think I've covered it recently on a video. But the Reprodocus is going to allow you to basically convert anything into dragon, and then from there you're going to actually use this play because you use the World Chalice Fairy here, Lee. What you're going to be able to do is you just go ahead and get rid of the repro and basically add the card back. There might be a better way to extend the combo even further without basically getting rid of a Link 2, if you guys get what I'm saying. But again, this is basically the standard bread and butter play of course, this deck. And like I said before, the main goal with this is basically to have an extension of your combo. And another important thing that I wanted to mention right here is don't let Apollosa get too low. You can technically keep on negating monster effects, but what's going to happen is you're just going to attack over it, and then you'll kind of be out. But again, Apollosa, I'm not going to consider it cheese because it's pretty consistent to just win with this card. But a lot of times people just get it. attack so low that they can just attack over it. But then again, this is the main problem that a lot of decks have. They don't have a follow-up for this. But then when you combo with the Dragon Maids, you're going to go ahead and just get so much advantage to the point where it can be quite difficult to deal with that card. And then the Dragon Maids, which was what I'm talking about before. Because if that wasn't an option to go for the Dragon Maids play, some decks will just lose because they don't have, again, something to back up the Hot Red Dragon Archer after that goes away. Usually you'll win with a Polosa and Hot Red Dragon Archer. They're just going to quit. In this instance, the opponent did have Dark Hole, which again, I think it could be a great card in this deck as well. Or Super Poly. You kind of have, I would say, 2 to 3 extra decks, cards that you can throw in here. And I'll get into that in a second once we go over the deck profile. You also have impermanents that kind of deal with turn 1 boards. But the reason why I like Super Poly is because all the Dragon Maids are basically fodder. I mean, heck, Shrewdo's free fodder too. A lot of the cards in the whole archetype are very easy to just throw in the graveyard. Heck, you can technically throw in Dangers and you can do well too, but I kind of want to make this focused on the Guard Dragon build. In fact, in the OCG, the most popular way to play right now is just Guard Dragon Link, or they call it Dragon Link. But there's 2 builds that I did want to go ahead and show off. So there's one with impermanence, one without, one with the Dragon Maid, like I'm gonna call them like the Dragon forms of the Dragon Maids, and there's another build without. The one without will be utilizing Draco Net as well. They both technically use Defrag Dragon, but it just kind of makes things a little bit easier. But Draco Net is the card I didn't really get to mention, so I'm going to mention it briefly and explain how the card works. So when this card is normal 7, you get to special summon 1 level 2 or lower normal monster from your hand or deck in defense position. This basically lets you go for the Justica, and that will allow you to go straight into whatever you really want to. Most of the time it's going to be Ib, but this can also be just a Cyberse, and then this happens to be a Dragon plus it's a tuner, but it's mostly just to go into this more consistently. And in addition to that, because the Dragon Maids, specifically Hospitality, can give you that extra special summon, whatever you're discarding with, let's say, Defrag Dragon or Signet Mining, you have easy access to a bunch of the cards. A lot of times it's going to be Nasri, and then also you happen to have Tilru. These are pretty much the most important cards. Parla over here lets you just send one. I usually like, personally for me, I always like to max out on Nasri because this card is just so important, especially with the discards of Tilru. Tilru plus this, I usually like to max out on these. It's just a really easy bread and butter combo. But the fact that Nasri gets its effect when it's normal or special summon makes it so much better, because then you can just use your normal summon for this. There's also an Orcus variant. I have seen it. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of it because it locks you, of course, into going for Dark. So you have to go Falpolosa quite early on in the play, which I guess technically you can try to make this, but it might be a little bit difficult. It is technically possible. You have to have a lot of extension combos, and then when you run that build, you have some inconsistency issues, and then on top of that, it's hard to really make it 40 cards when you want to play 3 copies of Called by the Grave, when you want to play Impermanence, or even like a Super Poly, which I think is another great target to go ahead and add. Like I said, there is, like, I would say there is some extra deck room if you really wanted to like drop maybe these 2 or whatever the case may be, because most of the time, if you're trying to make Phoenix or Cerberus, you're not going to be going for like your what I would consider like the good combo. So anyways, let's go and go over like a brief little deck profile now that I explained the kind of the differences in the 2 different builds here. You did see technically both of them in the replays, but we didn't actually see Draco Net, but I already explained how that works. But Justica, Red Arcus Metal Dragon, Deshrudo, Draco Net, Defrag Dragon, and then 3 copies of Tilru, 2 Parla, Red Resonator, which like I mentioned before, it can heal you up. It's quite good for that as well. And then Nazari, 2 copies of that, and then the Lee, World Chalice Fairy, and then the World Chalice Guard Dragon, and then Resonator Call, Signet Mining, 3 copy of Inheritor, 3 copies of Hospitality, 3 copies of Called, and then the Guard Dragon of World Legacy, and then 3 copies of the Impermanence for the extra deck. I know we don't have Needle Fiber, but Needle Fiber will make those decks even more broken. Anyways, the most important cards are going to be, of course, the Hot Red Dragon, Ib, and then this is pretty important too because you can OTK it quite easy in this deck, and then pretty much like, actually I should put the less important cards down below if you did want to go ahead and swap into thing. This is basically for the follow-up play of the Hot Red Dragon Arch from Abyss with bringing back Ib. A lot of times the game won't get to that point, but if it does have that utility. You know, really need to play this card. You can go for this. Most of the time it'll just do the same thing. But I'll mouse over the extra deck here. It's pretty much similar as far as the extra deck goes for this other one. This one does play Needle Fiber, and like I mentioned before, this card will make this deck so much better, but who knows when we'll get it here in the TCG. But that was like the main difference. This one is playing the Gaurd, which is a quick effect where you can discard this card to special summon a level 4 lower Dragon Maid. I think it's probably one of the better ones for the Gaurd Dragon builds, because it just, again, extends their combos over here. But that's like the main difference with these two different builds. This one is playing more copies of Gaurd Dragon Will Legacy. You only activate one per turn, but again, so is this. But it's just for consistency. Whatever one you don't have, you just go ahead and add it with Ib. And I think you could, if you wanted to, like maybe drop this to 2, because you can play like 2-2. I think that's a pretty decent ratio as well. But the more important thing is, I think Super Poly would be great, or Dark Hole if you want to clear the board to go ahead and go for your plays. But a lot of times in Yu-Gi-Oh! With a lot of these decks that are even playing like Sekka's Light and stuff, you need to have a very powerful turn 1 board and also be able to break a board. But anyways, yeah, this is the Dragon Maid Gaurd Dragon variant. Let me know, guys, what you think of it, and what is the best Dragon Maid deck in your guys' opinion. For me, I want to say this one's the best. The Husky build, like it's literally just like bounce 1. That's I spell Husky. It's literally go for this, and then whenever one is bounced back, you can target 1 and then destroy it. So like you bounce 1. I just think it's too weak compared to the Gaurd Dragon negate 5, right? You can stop 1, or you can go ahead and negate 5. I usually think that obviously it's a no-brainer. But later down the line, maybe Dragon Maids will get more support. I know a lot of people are playing this deck right now, and I think, again, this is one of the better ones. There is sometimes when you're playing the Lightsworn variant where you can open up insane, and I have seen that. But because it's Lightsworn, I don't know, there's inconsistency issues. But I wanted to go over this video and kind of talk about just Dragon Mage in general. And the main, like, the core concept is usually just go for Husky, and then Husky protects all of the bigger ones, but a lot of times you will have the smaller ones out, and then you go for the bigger ones, so they'll get rid of those before the battle phase even happens. So it's like problems that the archetype already has. That's why I think the Gaurd Dragon build is quite good. It dumps them all, basically it dumps a bunch of the cards in the graveyard, and then not only do you have Nazri to bring back this card, to basically utilize it as just a simple 2 additional cards. Well, it's 1 card to get 2, and then technically you go in, use this card to go back into this, and then at the end of the battle phase you go ahead and go right back into this. Then it goes ahead and it brings back this, and this literally result. So like, you guys get what I'm saying. It allows the Gaurd Dragon deck to basically have a grind game if things go wrong, which is, I guess, the advantage of playing this over other variants that can throw out like a turn 1 this type of board. But anyways, like I said, I'm curious to know what you guys think is the best Gaurd Dragon build. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on that bell if you guys want to see more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. And if you guys want to send me in any other different variants of it, feel free to go ahead and send them in. And shout out to my boy Teriyaki hooking me up with this Gaurd Dragon variant. I thought this one was pretty interesting using this, but I think maybe if you guys want to comment down below, like, how can we utilize, instead of going for Lee to bounce this card back to re-add this card back to your hand, is there an extension that we can do off of this to go for one of the other Gaurd Dragons? Because technically they require dragons. I guess there's probably other card that can like convert, like, I don't think anyone wants to play DNA surgery, transplant, whatever it is, because that's obviously too slow. But there might be some other like extension we can think of. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys, and peace.